everybody, I'm back, and here's our pasta dough that was in the refrigerator. Probably about 20 minutes. It would be great if you could leave it in there for an hour, but I'm in a bit of a hurry. So I just wanted to show you already, just in that 20-minute rest time, how much more hydrated it is. So it's just really, really, really nice. Soft dough. Any of those hard bits are totally hydrated now. So one tip is you need a lot of flour when you're working with pasta dough. So I use one of these shakers like you would use for powdered sugar. I fill it up with flour, and it makes it really easy just to put kind of a nice light layer down. So I'm just going to coat that with a little flour so it doesn't stick until I'm ready to work with it. So we are using our KitchenAid pasta roller set here, and it's going to come with, oh, here's my little brush. It's going to come with 2 pasta cutters. So you're going to have a fettuccine cutter, and they're really heavy, like chrome plated metal. And this is your spaghetti cutter. Oh, and they're made in Italy too, which is kind of the land of pasta. So this one I was using the other day, and I wanted to show you how you clean it. So you don't ever want to submerge these in water. So if you get any kind of pasta residue in there, it comes with this little brush, and you can use it to just brush. So if I get like some clumps of pasta, I let it dry for a day or so, and then you can very easily just brush the pieces out. And that's how I clean it. You just brush away any residue, any flour, and you're good to go. So this is actually your roller. So I have a roller and 2 cutters, and I'm just going to take off my dough hook here that I used to make the pasta, and I think I'll take the bowl off too. So let me just lock this in place. Oh, and my set also came with this awesome pasta drying rack, which I found is very handy. If you don't have a pasta drying rack, I used to just hang my pasta over the back of one of my kitchen chairs. You could even put some plastic wrap on there, so it's all nice and neat. And this has a kind of a neat little wand in there. I'll show you how to use that. So first I'm going to take off my hub cover here and pop in my roller. So if you've never used any of the attachments, there's a square shaped pin that fits into a square shaped hole, and sometimes you just need to twist until the 2 meet and then tighten that thumb screw. All right, so on here is a dial, and you can dial from number 1 all the way up to 8. Number 1 is the widest thickness between the rollers. So you're going to start always at 1, and then I'm going to put this on speed 2 here to get started. So then I have my dough. I'm going to cut this into 4 sections and just kind of flour any of the sticky areas there. Flour is your friend. It's fun. Don't worry if you get a little messy. So I just want to feed this through. So at this widest speed, it's actually kind of doing some kneading action for us. So you want to run it through on that same thickness a couple times. I believe this is technically called laminating your dough. You can just fold it in half, or you could fold it up like an envelope there. Oops, I got some of my dry pieces in there. So you can see as you're rolling it through that it really gets more supple and really nice and manageable. If it starts to get a little sticky on you, just sprinkle it with flour. All right, so once it moves very easily through that first setting, and you've done your kind of folding and laminating, and it's a nice smooth texture, now you can move to your next setting. So this is number 2 thickness, and really depending on what kind of pasta you're making, if you're making like thick dumplings for chicken and dumplings, you could leave it a little thicker. I'm going to run it through here twice. And you could laminate some more if you needed to. If you ever get a hole in your pasta, just crumple it up and start over again. It's pretty forgiving. So this is thickness 3. So earlier this week I made fettuccine and I took that to thickness 6. And I was worried that it was going to be too thin. But then when you boil the pasta, it puffs a little bit and it was just perfect. So don't be afraid if it seems a little thin at the start. So I'm just using 2 hands here for this motion and adding flour as needed. That was 4. We're going to go to 5. I'm actually going to make lasagna tonight, so I'm going to leave some of these noodles whole. So when you make lasagna, you could just use these whole sheets, but I will show you how to do each kind of cut as well. So that was 5, here's 6. So this is how thick I made it the other night when I made fettuccine. So once it gets really long like this, you can cut the whole sheet in half to make it a little bit more manageable. So I'm just going to lay this down and give this a cut. So what to do with these before you cut them. So you can lay them out on like a sheet tray or your countertop. You want to make sure you have some flour laid down. Some people actually fold them. I've never had luck with that. I've always had them stick together. So I do flour them, but then I'm going to cover them with a sheet of wax paper here. And lay my other one right on top. If you do have trouble where they do stick together, you can just ball it up and run the dough right back through. I had to do that earlier this week and everything turned out just fine. So let me roll one more piece and then I'll show you how to do the cutting. So now I'm going to take the roller out and just set that aside, and I will show you how to cut the spaghetti. So I'm just going to pop this in. Okay. And tighten it on. Alright, we'll turn on our unit there. And in the use and care guide, it gives suggestions for all your speeds and everything. I believe there's also a recipe in there as well. Okay, so here is our sheet of dough, and let me show you how this little wand works. Let me lay this down a second. So it has a kind of a concave side, is that the correct word? Convex, concave. And it fits right over the rungs of the pasta rack. So you can take your pasta over here and twist it, and then it stays on. It's also handy for picking up your pasta when you want to go and put it in the pot. Okay, so here we go. If ever the end of the pasta gets a little dry, you can trim that. For some reason it doesn't like to feed into here if this is kind of dry and hard. So you can just trim that off. So you just want to feed it through, and then at about the middle, catch it there with the wand. If you don't have the wand, it's really not a big deal. You can just, put it on your hand. I'm just brushing off a little of the extra flour, and it's so fun. Okay, so here I'm just sliding this on, give it a twist, and that's perfect. Okay, let's do one more of the spaghetti, and then I'll show you the fettuccine. Okay, here we go. I have this on speed 3, but definitely check the manual there if you want. It gives you suggestions for the different cuts and the different speeds. So there is more of our spaghetti. We'll put this guy right here. So just slide it on and then release it. So it's so great that it handles that. If you don't have a rack like this, you could use like a clothes drying rack You could just lay them out on sheet trays with wax paper and flour. You could put it over a chair too. Okay, so let's take off the spaghetti cutter, and this is the fettuccine cutter. I'm just gonna pop that on. If ever it doesn't go in, it might be because the little screw's in the way. So make sure you have the screw backed all the way out before you put that on. So this one you want to go a little bit faster on the speed, but of course, whatever speed you're comfortable with. So I'm going to go on speed 5, I believe is what the manual says. And here's another sheet of our dough. Let me show you if I did not have that wand, what I would do. So you would just catch it on your hand there, just like that. And here's our last beautiful piece here. There is our fettuccine. So nice. Love that. Okay, so it is about 3:40, so I'm just gonna let these dry on here until dinner time. So when you want to cook them, you want a nice pot of salted water, like a lot of water, because this extra flour is going to come off into the water and you don't want it to get gummy. So fresh pasta does not take that long to cook. It's variable depending on the thickness and what kind of flour you use, but I would say no more than 2 minutes of cooking time, and it's going to be beautiful. So when I want to take them off to go and cook them, you can just slide your wand in between, and then you just go right to your pot. So that's so handy. When I first used this rack, I didn't even know what this was. I thought it was just a handle that was in the top. So that's handy. So I'm just going to keep rolling my sheets here, and I'm not going to cut the other ones because we're going to make lasagna sheets, and I'm going to make lasagna, just some basic lasagna. I have some leftover ricotta cheese that I want to use up. So thank you so much. I hope you'll try making pasta at home. You can check out my recipes on epicuriecloud.com. And I have a spinach pasta recipe and also a tomato pasta recipe that you could try. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. So happy cooking. Have a great day. Take care.